Do you want to eat beef liver capsules but don't have the money to buy the good supplements? Do you want to just consume beef liver but can't stand the taste of it? Today I'm going to show you how to make your own beef liver powder. You can use this to make your own seasoning blends. I'll include some recipes linked down below. Now you can make your own beef liver powder capsules for a fraction of the price. Hi, I'm Caitlin, and on this channel we talk about everything homemaking, homesteading, and how to be a lady while living on a budget. Apologize if you hear my children playing outside. They are enjoying one of the last glorious days here in northern Michigan before fall and winter set in. How to make beef liver powder using either your oven or dehydrator. I'm going to show some photos from a blog post I did and kind of talk you through the process. I will also link the blog post below. You can do it either in the dehydrator or in the oven on the lowest setting. So that would either be warm, or which is usually around 150, or 170 Fahrenheit, generally speaking. So the first thing you're going to need to do is procure your beef liver. You can also do this with like any other red meat livers, such as venison or bison or lamb or something like that. Depending on whether it's an animal that you harvested yourself or you picked up from the butcher, it will either come as one massive liver, like a beef liver, or it will come up chunked up in some way. I usually get it from my mom, and when she gets it back from her butcher, it is sliced. But we recently harvested a cow, and so I was dealing with this just from the giant beef liver, which is just huge. It's massive. So the first thing you're going to do, regardless of how it is you're going to rinse it in cool water until the water comes clear. The goal is to get as much of the blood out of the liver as possible before we start processing it. So if it is already sliced, then you're going to rinse it, let it dry, and probably slice it into smaller slices even still. I'll show you the photos. We're looking for smaller than like jerky sized slices. I would say a 1/2 inch to 1 inch wide. And then the length is less important. The smaller the pieces are, the quicker they dehydrate. But the big thing is not having them super thick or super wide. If you're doing this in the oven, you're going to want to put them on parchment paper or a silicone mat and just lay them out. And then you will place them in your oven on the lowest setting you have. If you are starting from a whole liver, this takes a while to do the cutting up process. And I usually rinse it after I cut each section because there's just a lot more blood that is left in it if you're starting with the whole liver versus it sliced. So you'll either place them on parchment paper or silicone mat in your oven or on your dehydrator trays in your dehydrator. If you have the mesh trays, mesh like lining, that is perfect, like you would use for making jerky. And you're going to set it to about 155 or whatever your dehydrator says for meat/jerky. You're going to let this go for several hours. You're going to check on it. You want to flip them once the top side looks like it's completely dehydrated. It won't be, but you're looking for that look. Then you'll flip it over and you'll do the same thing for the bottom side. So at this point, it should look and feel very dehydrated, but just know there is still moisture in it where you still have to do more steps. So then you are going to take it and you're going to chunk it up, either by cutting it or ripping it into a food processor or blender. And then you're going to chop it / puree it, blitz it, whatever you want to do until you get like a crumbly texture. Just know this is one of the loudest things on the planet. I don't know how beef liver is so loud, but it is. So wear hearing protection. Do not do this while children are napping. So loud, but it's worth it. Another thing to know is if you don't like the smell of liver cooking, you are going to smell it in the initial processes as you're working with it. But once it is down to a powder, it really doesn't have much of a smell at all. So this kind of comes back to the choose your hard. You can either choose to not have to mess with it and spend the money and get like Ancestorial, I think it's Ancestorial supplements, their beef liver, which is processed and ready to go, comes in a bottle, you're good to go. Or you can do it yourself, but you will have to smell it a little bit, which isn't the most fun, but you know, it is manageable. Unless maybe your first trimester. I have done it during first trimester, but it is a lot harder then. So once you get it crumbled, you're going to put it again onto either your parchment paper, or if you're doing it in the dehydrator, this is when you're going to want a solid bottom for your dehydrator tray. So I have like a silicone mat. That's what I use. Or if you don't, if you only have the perforated ones, then put parchment paper down and do it that way. And you're going to dehydrate it again for many hours until it is bone dry. We do not want this to mold. It is too much work and too expensive. So you want to get it as dry as possible. Then you will take it back out and you will blend it up into a super fine powder. This takes a while and is also loud, but usually a little bit less loud than the first time through the blender. Once you're convinced you have it down to a powder, you're going to take a fine metal sieve and you are going to sift the powder. I can almost guarantee you that you do not have it as fine ground as you think, and you'll have to go back in and do it again to get the last little bit. Once you have it sifted down, you're going to store in an airtight container with preferably a moisture absorber. If you're like me and you have several supplement bottles, if I have moisture absorber disinfectant packs in them that are still in good shape, that haven't absorbed a bunch of moisture, I will just stick those in there. We just want to make sure that we are not getting any moisture buildup because it will mold if there's moisture in there. Also, make sure it has come down to room temperature completely before you put it in your jar and seal it. The other alternative is if you're worried, you can store it in the freezer. If I have more than one jar, I tend to store it in the freezer just because it increases shelf life. But if you have it dry enough, you don't have to. I've had a quart jar of beef liver powder stored on my counter for a year plus, and it's been just fine. So once you get it down to a powder, you can then capsulize it. I will include links to the capsules that I use. My favorite ones are off Amazon. Last time I checked, Amazon didn't have a capsule maker. I will check again. I got mine off of Azure Standard, and I can link that too. Once you have the powder made and it's all the way dried, all that good stuff, you are ready to go. You can use it in lots of different things. Our favorite thing to use it for is seasoned salt. I have a very kick butt seasoned salt recipe that has the nutrient superpowers of nettle leaf and liver powder in it. It's super easy, very cheap to make. I will include that recipe below. I also make taco seasoning with it, fajito seasoning with it, poultry seasoning that has it in it. Anything that you can think of, you can put it in it. As far as like a seasoning, savory seasoning blend, when I make yellow rice, I include it in it. If you think of something that has MSG, that umami flavor, you can use beef liver to get the same flavor. Instead of it being a neurotoxin, you get to have bonus nutritional value. So that is really, really great for us. That's how we do it. I also consume it via capsules, but my favorite way is to just eat it. It also, you don't taste it in those products, but your body gets used to consuming it, and it does help slowly progress your body to the point where if you wanted to do like a pate, you could. But even if you never get there, that's fine. You can use these recipes and you don't taste it at all. I also have a zucchini muffin recipe that has liver powder in it, which I know sounds weird, but zucchini muffins have like a lot of cinnamon and nutmeg in it, so you don't taste it at all, but it's another way to sneak a little bit in. So this is perfect if you don't like the taste of liver, but really love its nutritional benefits. I know that I became convinced that I should be eating beef liver long before I could come up with a way to stomach it. I know like a lot of people eat it frozen and they say it doesn't have a flavor or a texture, and I'm just like, I can't. It may be crunchy, but I'm not that crunchy. So that is how you make your own beef liver powder. It takes a lot of time because you have the drying time, but there's very little hands-on time, and it is definitely worth it. You just want to source a high quality liver. So if you are not raising your own beef, or you don't have a friend that's raising high quality beef, and if you're not hunting and getting a good quality like venison liver, deer liver, then I would suggest contacting either your local farm or your local butcher and see what they have. We are going for ideally no hormones, no antibiotics, grass-fed beef liver. That is the gold standard. However, unless the animal has been treated terribly, even conventionally raised beef liver still has many great health benefits. So I would not get lost in the wondering about, is it perfect? Is it just right? Get what you can get your hands on. Start consuming it. It has many, many wonderful nutritional benefits. In particular, if you're someone who struggles with chronic health issues or nursing or pregnant or want to be one day. So this is my suggestion for how to consume liver when you can't stand the taste of it and you can't afford the expensive supplements. Stay tuned next week, and I will release my free ebook on how to eat liver when you don't like it. So I'm very excited about that. It is, I believe, 41 pages long. It has lots of great information and recipes. I will also include links to all my recipes on my blog that include beef liver powder and the instructions that I discussed today. If you want to take more steps in healthy eating and ancestral eating, check out last week's video on how to make sauerkraut without any special equipment. It is delicious. We have been enjoying it. We've already consumed one of the jars of it all the way and are partway through a second. If this is the type of information that is helpful to you, please like, comment, and share, and let me know what you would like more of. I will hopefully see you on Sunday for a sewing video. If not, join me on the Getting Dressed Every Day challenge. I know as a stay-at-home mom, it can be tempting to not get dressed all the way every day, but it's still important, so I am challenging you to do that. I'm doing it and posting what I'm wearing every day until I have the baby. I will talk to you later. God bless. Bye.